Hey everyone, I am Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear, and I am here today with another episode of Open Book. And those of you out there that are not familiar with Open Book, first off, I love Open Book because Open Book gives us the opportunity to, as a business, we open up our book to share stories about our brand. But I would say more importantly, we get to share the stories of others that we have the opportunity to collaborate with. So today we are honored to have Brittany. Brittany is involved with CureGRIN Foundation, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Brittany. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Billy. I really appreciate being here.
Well, as I was discussing in preparation for this call with you, there is so much about the space that you're in that I don't know anything about. So I think a great entry point here. Could you tell us all about CureGRIN and how you got involved?
Absolutely. So I got involved. My involvement started off with meeting my stepson, Hunter. So he has GRIN 2B, which is one of the several variants that CureGRIN now encompasses. I met him a few years ago now, and when his dad, my husband, told me about his diagnosis, I had no idea what it was. I knew nothing about it. So I jumped on the internet and got in very far down a rabbit hole of GRI Disorders. And CureGRIN Foundation is one of the first websites that I found. They have a lot more information than some of the families had when they first received diagnosis, a diagnosis, I should say. So I got involved with CureGRIN. I started off as a family ambassador, which basically just means I reached out to families in my area, which I'm in Indiana. So there's actually only like 3 or 4 families in Indiana right now that have a confirmed diagnosis, but there's a big community in the Midwest in general. So Chicago, which I'm only a couple hours away from Chicago. But I got involved just knowing that I wanted to be able to do what I could for Hunter. And he is absolutely incredible. He's nonverbal. We work with him on independent eating, sitting to stand on his own, up and down stairs. He's lightning fast when he wants to be. And then at times we're like, where did he go? He loves to jump on trampolines. He loves music. He's an amazing kid, and I have seen him grow so much in the last few years. It's incredible. And I can say that about a lot of the other kiddos in our families. And then he's a triplet. So he has 2 sisters, and I actually just had a baby. Sam is 3 months old. So I know my bio said I have 3 bonus kids, but I have 3 bonus kids and now Sam. So anyways, Hunter, though, he was the driving force behind CureGRIN. And when I got involved as the family ambassador, I connected with the founders of CureGRIN, the families that founded it. And then eventually I was able to come on board as an actual staff member, which has been awesome. Being able to help out families, even just with what do I do next, which is one of the biggest questions that a lot of the families with a new diagnosis have, is where do we go from here? Because there's still not a lot of resources in a lot of areas. So we really want just people to know what GRI disorders are, how they can help, what we can do next. That's our biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much for sharing all that. I mean, and there's so much in there that we can unpack. I mean, because what you were saying, it definitely resonated with me, like my own personal journey as someone with a disability, and like trying to go down a path that I wasn't familiar with, and just trying to just understand what life could be and would be like, but also just the information of sharing. Getting information out there, but then also like being a part of a family. So I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old too. So the family network can be very dynamic. That's for sure. And I was curious, GRI disorders. I mean, is that something of like how far along in the child's process do you start understanding that there might be something going on? I mean, is it very early on, or is it like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road? How does that work?
That is a great question. So it really just depends on the kid and on the family, honestly. So I was not a part of Hunter's life when he was diagnosed, but he was diagnosed around 2 years old. So especially with him being a triplet, he hit a few milestones ahead of his sisters. Everything seemed to be on track, in terms of the standard milestones. And then from what they have told me is he kind of stalled. And then his dad has said like he wasn't making eye contact, I hate saying normal, but stereotypically the eye contact, that was one of the big things that his dad had noticed. And then there were some other just not hitting the milestones and some other things that they noticed with his development. So they pushed, especially his mom. She is amazing. She is an absolute warrior for Hunter and all of the GRI families that she knows. It's amazing. And they pushed for a diagnosis. What can we do? What's next? And again, the what's next thing. And they were able to get a whole exome sequencing test done. And they found the GRIN2B gene was misfiring basically. And he's not able to do a lot of the things that a neurotypical child would be able to do. But other families have said that they have noticed, I know a couple of families who've said that basically they knew when their baby was born that something wasn't quite right. And then there's other people who may have received, like Hunter also has an autism diagnosis. A lot of our families, I feel, have an autism diagnosis or a secondary diagnosis. Became a secondary diagnosis, I should say. A lot of families have started off with a wrong diagnosis, and then they found out that it's a GRI disorder through the whole exome sequencing or some other test like that. So it really just depends. We have a family, their daughter is in her 30s, and she just received a diagnosis in the last year.
Oh, wow.
So it just depends on the child, the family. It just depends.
Wow. Well, you also kind of touched on this earlier that, in your area, it sounds like there aren't very many, at least known GRI disorders like within your area, which would, I suppose, imply, and this is probably a good time for me to share the website, that your reach has to be quite substantial. I mean, to reach much farther than where you're at right now, where you're geographically located.
Yes, we are. We have a reach across the globe. Essentially, we have families in Brazil. We have families in the Netherlands. We have families in Spain. All across the United States, California, Arizona. I mean, I don't think we have any in Alaska or Hawaii, but otherwise, we are all across the country. And I know I'm missing several different countries. The UK, there's several families in the UK. We have a big stretch or a big reach, I should say. And but that's another amazing part of our community is I talk quite frequently with a couple of families in the UK, as well as families on the West Coast all the way to the East Coast on a weekly basis. So.
Well, I got to say, your website is very impressive. I mean, there's a lot of information on there. It's very inviting, and there's just a lot of information, a lot of stories, and a lot of research going on. And I mean, everyone else is listening and, watching this. I mean, I really encourage you to check out their website. It's CureGRIN.org. And then along that, there's also Facebook. They're on Facebook at CureGRIN, and Instagram is a little bit different, but it's CureGRIN_Foundation. So a lot of information out there. And this is the part that was really kind of resonating me on my own personal story. I mean, I broke my neck when I was a teenager. It was 1996. So it was kind of right when the internet was going. And it was very difficult for myself and my family to be able to find information out there. And I was able to get connected with other folks that, were in wheelchairs to kind of have them act as mentors, or just be a shoulder to cry on, or just act or try to tackle that unanswerable question, why me? Mm-hmm. but it was very tight within that like geographical area. There was just really wasn't any way to reach out like you're able to reach out, which I find like through the internet. I'm sure it's tremendously helpful for your ability to get connected with people from a long ways away.
Yeah, it's being able to do that, especially when we have newly diagnosed families who don't know where to go next. We are working on a list of physicians, clinicians, researchers. I mean, we work pretty closely with a handful of researchers and clinicians that are doing GRI-specific work, and it's amazing. We're able to, with some of our fundraising, we can help support projects, which are our big our big fundraisers and donations. We help fund these projects, which is amazing, but we can also get families connected with our fundraisers as well. And then we had a newly diagnosed family. I believe they're in Pennsylvania, but I can get them connected to families already with a diagnosis in that area and refer them to physicians, neurologists, and other doctors and clinicians who may be able to help their child. So having that ability is amazing. It really is.
Wow. That is huge. I mean, I can't even wrap my arms around how big that is. I mean, just being able to, that's like life-saving for some families. I mean, so I guess the question is, how do the families find you? I mean, obviously you have the website and the social, but is it just a matter of they get the diagnosis of like just GRIN or I don't know, and then they just go to Google and type it in and then you pop up? I mean, is it that simple?
Pretty much. Honestly, that's how I found CureGRIN. Once I found out Hunter's diagnosis, a lot of families, when they do receive that GRI diagnosis, and I say GRI diagnosis just because we have our GRIN disorders. There's GRIN 1, GRIN 2B, GRIN 2D. There's GRIA, GRIA disorders, as well as GRIK and GRID disorders. So we are kind of transitioning from CureGRIN to GRI. The foundation name is still CureGRIN, but we want to make sure we're encompassing all of the GRI disorders. So yeah, a lot of families I just received a diagnosis of GRIN 2B, for example. I have no idea what this is. They type it in and CureGRIN pops up. GRIN 2B Foundation will pop up, but CureGRIN is one of those that they find and they reach out. We get a lot of emails just through the website, or they can search on Facebook. There's some support groups on Facebook too that people can be a part of, and we welcome that. We have a platform called GRI Connect that we're really working on improving, but it will connect families. You can basically register, and if you have questions, if you have referrals, that's another spot that we can connect with. So
Wow, Brittany, absolutely incredible. All right, so let me put this back up. So everyone out there, again, like the website curegrin.org, and then you're mentioning Facebook at CureGRIN, as well as through Instagram, CureGRIN_Foundation. Brittany, I can talk to you forever here. I know I can, but I want to be respectful of your time. I know that, but I do want to ask you one more question, because I know that supporting everything that you're doing is vitally important. So how best, for everyone out there listening, how best can we help you? How can we support you?
The best thing for our support, or for supporting us, I say, is just being aware. First and foremost, being aware of GRI disorders. And if you do know somebody who is affected, or their family is affected, be there for them. But we also, we are a nonprofit. CureGRIN Foundation is a nonprofit, and to be able to fund the projects like I talked about, or get help to our families, things like that, we accept donations. You can donate through the page. We also have a few big fundraisers. One is coming up in June, Get Moving for GRI. It's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. And part of the reason I'm really excited to be affiliated with Billy Footwear, especially, it's Get Moving for GRI. And we know that it's not just walking or running. Some of our kiddos are not able to walk or run. So it's getting moving any way that you can, but supporting us in that. So that's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year, and we're really looking forward to it this year. So yeah, getting the word out there. If you see something on social media, just share it. Sometimes that's all it takes. I've shared stories on Facebook and Instagram about our families, and I get a message from someone else saying, "What is this? Who is this? How can I help?" And we will always tell you who they are, what they're up to, and how we can help. So
I got to say, word of mouth is a powerful thing. Word of mouth, sharing, being authentic. It's amazing how the stories that we have are, it's interesting how it makes us so vulnerable, because they come from a source of a lot of emotion, and, you know, it can come with pain as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, but through that sharing, we gain strength. And it just seems like when we're able to share, we start working more and more as a community. And when we work as a community, I truly believe there's nothing we can't accomplish. So it's such an honor for us to be partnered with you as well. So
yeah, thank you. Our whole team is very excited about it. So.
Well, everyone out there, Brittany, thank you so much for your time. Everyone out there, let me put this out once more. The website, CureGRIN.org, Facebook at CureGRIN, and then Instagram at CureGRIN_Foundation. So be sure to check them out and be sure to support them. On the website, there's a big button that says donate. It makes it really, really easy.
I can't miss it.
Well, this is another episode of Open Book. Thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. We'll have another one again real soon. So until then, take care.